Every struggle, every issue in your life has more than one answer.
Many ways to the top of the mountain, lots of paths to get to the place of victory.
And what tends to happen is couples get stuck on the solution they think is best, and then there's a power struggle between the two where there's probably another solution you both could agree on.
The number one indicator of what's going to make love last is how well you manage conflict. You can use it to connect or pull you apart. The choice is yours. But we need a way to solve our disagreements.
Right, because if you decide together how you're going to approach conflict, it will work for you because your emotions always follow your decisions. So the plan that Pam and I follow when we have a disagreement with each other is we follow a simple plan that's built on the word solve. And the S stands for seek God together.
So we always pray, like if we're finding ourselves in a disagreement, we just like, oh, okay, time out. Let's pause, let's pray, let's invite God in the middle. Because God knows you're arguing, He knows everything.
And it's not always a pretty prayer.
Right.
Sometimes it's, God, we're a mess right now, and we need your help. Would you show up, please?
Lord, I don't really like him right now, and so help me love him so we can solve this thing.
But we found it always goes better when we ask God to get in the middle of it. And the O is for open the conversation. Because I don't know of anybody who starts with the real issue. When you're upset with somebody and when you have to go into a difficult conversation, you test the waters. And so we want to give each other an opportunity to clear the air and kind of clear our hearts. And sometimes we even use...
Well, you want to know who's going to start first, because usually when you're in a disagreement, the disagreement just escalates and you start like yelling over each other. And so we found we needed to decide who has the floor. So we actually have a piece of tile and we'll hand it, we'll say, you have the floor.
And as long as I have the floor, I get to talk until I hand it back and then she gets to talk.
And we used to say the ball's in your court, but I'm very animated, so I'm like, the ball's in your court. Yeah, that didn't work, so we had to go to the tile.
And the goal in this phase is to calm the waters. Because again, you're going to start off kind of afraid. You're going to start off wondering if you're going to make any progress. And so you test the waters, and you want to wait till things calm down before you start evaluating the interaction.
Right, at this point, you just want to decide who's speaking and take turns just speaking, not taking offense, like trying to not take things personal, just to get a calm environment so that you can go to the next step.
And the L is for look deeper. And what you're looking for is the real issue. Because there's something stirring that's causing symptoms, and you're probably starting off talking about the symptoms, not the real issue. Like I can tell you in our relationship, if I have started an argument with Pam, it's most likely because I'm feeling left out.
Right.
I grew up in a home where I was the youngest, wasn't taken seriously, and my mom was a very strong decision maker, but her decisions didn't often make sense. And so I felt like I didn't get to be a part of the decisions of my life.
Like people made decisions for him.
And of course, I married a woman who's very decisive. And so I can often feel left out, but I don't normally start there. It's more fun to just say, Pam, you're kind of controlling.
Yeah, that goes really well.
Instead of saying I'm feeling left out.
And for me, oftentimes, if I've started the argument, it feels like I'm going to fail. I'm the firstborn daughter, alcoholic dad, and I always thought that if I were just perfect, maybe then mom and dad wouldn't argue so much. But I'm less likely, especially early on in our marriage, to say, I feel like I'm going to fail here. Now I shortcut the issue and I say, okay, time out. I think what's really going on here is I'm feeling like I might fail.
And then V is verify options. Every struggle, every issue in your life has more than one answer.
Many ways to the top of the mountain, lots of paths to get to the place of victory.
And what tends to happen is couples get stuck on the solution they think is best, and then there's a power struggle between the two where there's probably another solution you both could agree on.
To become a better us, then it's good to take turns listening to each other's ideas, but then maybe even reach out for a third party or say, let's regroup here, let's both investigate, bring back some other options, and let's put a lot of things on the table and then make some decisions.
And the E is evolve into an answer. Because sometimes you're disagreeing with each other because the answer's not yet. And sometimes you're disagreeing because there isn't an answer. If you have a special needs child, you don't just solve that. If you have a financial reversal in your life, you don't automatically turn it around very quickly. If you face a serious health issue, there's no instant solutions to those things. And if you have to have an answer today, sometimes it keeps the conflict going unnecessarily, because sometimes what you have is each other.
Right. And sometimes Bill and I will just say, okay, we don't have an answer, but we have each other. We have God. Together, we can get through this.
That's right.
And it may be the way to solve an issue that you're dealing with is to reach out to a pastor, to a counselor, to a mentor couple. You don't have to solve everything by yourself. There are people to help.